Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star. What a joy to be back. We always enjoy our time here together and with you. If it wasn't for you, dear viewers, we'd be around one of our houses drinking together and making merry with our paper sheets and our dice. But here we are instead with laptops and phones and cameras and dice and wine and all the things we could need. We're here for another night of the Boys from the Baltic Star, and it's Friday night. And on Friday, if all three of us are here, we play Traveller, and that's what we're doing this evening. Our ongoing science fiction adventure. We are up to season 3, episode 6, Ewan, according to the email you sent out
hmm
earlier. Yep.
I think that's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's frozen again. He gave me a funny look, then he froze. Classic Ewaning.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. You'll come back again. You always do. But thank you, dear viewers, for joining in this evening, and you're very welcome to hang out with us. We'll go, I don't know, 2-3 hours tonight. We'll see how things go, see how quickly everyone dies, and how quickly we do something that sends Ben scrabbling for the sheets. And we'll do it next week. We'll finish there. So we'll definitely see. Um, Please feel free to hang around for as long or as short as you want. We'll have a break at some point around the midway point ish. And after that, we'll come back for a toast, the most important part of the stream. So make sure you've got a drink of some kind when you return from that break. Please feel free to chat or lurk, whichever you'd fancy. Either is good. We love chatters and we'll interact with chat. And you might find that some chat spills over into the game as well. We are quite interactive in that regard, so that's a warning as well. And lurkers are great too. We love our lurkers. Look, John's in. Hey man, how's it going? We chatted about next Saturday. It's like 7 o'clock. Okay, 7 o'clock our time. Is that all right? Um, so yes, so lurk or chat, everything. Of course, see someone just chatted. If you're listening on VOD and have no idea what's going on, that's one of our very best friends, the Rudy to our Tony and Gaston is in. What a joy. Um, that means nothing to you, so I'm just in jokes, unfortunately. Right. If it doesn't mean anything to you, tune in to Tony and Rudy next week because it's next Saturday. Because it's one of our favourite things. Bit sick. Oh,
It's a lovely, lovely game.
bad news. What's wrong with your sickness? You haven't caught it from my daughter, have you? Across the waters. There's a red sun there. Feel free to click the red sun, everyone. You can spend some Imperial credits. As always, usual sort of mix of stuff. If it's that sort of pukey, pinky, peachy colour, it'll play a nice little bit of sand, which is always a bit of fun. For example, I can make Ben resplend for us all. I'll do that now.
Majestic!
And Ben resplends for us. Look at that. Beautiful. So feel free to do that anytime. Have a read through. A couple of things I'll pull out for you. Boon to be wild if you want one of our characters to get a boon, which would be lovely. Thank you very much. It's a nice expensive thing to avoid too much game breaking. Click on that. You can name an NPC, and that player becomes canon. That's canonical character in the game because of you. How lucky. There's some stuff there as well. Up the Geeks is just a bit of a joke and this and that, but there's a few things that tie into the game. Daddy Agnar mode will make Agnar buy. If we're going to buy something, Daddy Agnar has to pay for it all. It's great when someone does that. I appreciate that a lot. There's some things never show very well on my screen. There is Clonk. I think Clonk's up, which means someone has to hit or kick something straight away after you say it. And Stefan Sneaky Masterclass, which gets us into all of our troubles, where Stefan has to steal something as soon as possible after that post. And it does always end up. It's been help. It always pushes the story on. I don't think it's never not, ever not, never has not pushed the story on. One thing
Never has.
never not, never has, never will. One thing I will point out for one credit is I'll drink to that. So there'll be times where we make a toast or there's a toast happening or something you want to agree with. We wanted to keep very cheap the chance for anyone to toast for it. And so I'll drink to that. It's always going to be one credit, always will be. And so knock yourself out with that. If you're wondering what the the hydrate option is, it's just make Ben drink. Make Ben. Everyone else goes hydrate. Let's drink water. We're like make Ben drink, or we'll just do a toast. It's a bit different. So Anyway, that's all of that. Let's talk about who we are, and then we'll get started, I guess. So I'm in the bottom right-hand corner. My name is Luke. Hello there. I'm small because it's the way Teams works, because we use Teams, and because it's my picture. I'm small, but that's okay, because I'm dwarfed by two heavyweights of the genre, let's face it. I play two characters in this. I play Soraya and Kara. They just popped up on video there. Soraya is the jack of all trades, the scout, a bit grubby, bit grimy. You know, spent all those years by herself out at the forefront of expeditions. Just sort of not too good with people. She loves her sport. She loves her drinking. She loves her cheesy balls. And she's a lovable character, and she loves, as a brother, I'd say, Stefan Miller. I also play Kara, who's the arty type. She's a hacker. She's an artist. She's a chatter. She's a carouser. She's a gambler. But she can punch someone, but one shot will probably kill her. So we need to look after her a little bit. Anyway, on this little bar on the right hand side, let's jump over this thing in the middle for a while. We'll come back to that in a bit.
This thing in the middle.
This thing in the middle. Let's ping over this rose to the other thorn. To my brother from another mother. He is the housewife's favourite yet again. It is, of course, the majestic in his own way, Ewan. Good evening, Ewan, and how are you?
Hey, look, I'm very good, thanks. In the non-conformist majestic kind of way, is that what you meant?
Yeah, I think
The
so.
avant-garde majestic.
Ben's a bit of a basic bitch when it comes to majesty. he just goes route one. You're the thinking man's majestic, I'd say.
You're not wrong.
I'm not sure I even know what that means, really. But thanks.
Who do you play in this wonderful tale of ours?
Yeah, moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on.
I play Stefan Miller, who is a streetwise, roguish type character. Not quite as fringe as Soraya from Society, but certainly in the grew up in the seedy underbelly before joining the crew. And I also play Agnar Arnson, a former military general, Varga Wolfman, military tactician, come medic.
Lovely. See, I like that Stefan is, like I say, grew up in the seedy underbelly, whereas Agnar very much has a seedy underbelly when he wakes up, and we've been eating snacks on his bed all night. And it all gets caught in his fur.
Yeah, definitely. A floofy underbelly all the time.
Always floofy.
Sometimes CD when he spilt his granola.
That's it. He's getting older now. He has to look after himself a bit, doesn't he? Keep himself regular, keep himself healthy.
Yeah.
Moving on. Not linking at all older and healthier to the last remaining member of the crew. He is the smartest man in any room, of course, including this one. He lives his entire life, as you can see in the Twin Peaks dream sequence. At night, when he's not streaming, he sneaks into women's bedrooms and leaves chocolatey deposits by their bed. I just pause for a second.
All because the lady loves milk tray.
I was going to say, you have to play the sound. Otherwise, it's gone really...
It's a what?
Otherwise, it's dark
nothing
and
to
creepy.
do with the advert anymore, yeah.
He's personally responsible for a 300% increase in black t-shirt sales over the last 6 months. He's keeping the British economy alive, quite frankly. It is Ben. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm well fed with curry this evening. Very Naga curry.
I've never gone Naga. It must be said, but it's one of the things you swear by, if I remember correctly.
I do. Yes, I like a curry that can eat its way through the plate and the table.
And your pants.
Well, that goes without saying.
Yeah, exactly.
We've gone there already.
Why not? Let's start. Let's not give people an unrealistic view of how it's going. Well, you see, Ben, for those that don't know, whereas you and I each play two characters each, Ben plays, I don't know, hundreds?
A fair few, certainly.
Theoretically, you play millions. It's just we haven't spoken to most of them yet. Billions, probably.
Despite your best
Infinite.
efforts, I mean, you do have conversations with everybody you pass.
And I do like to ask their name, even if it's someone just selling umbrellas.
Mm-hmm.
You do it so well, though, Ben.
Oh,
Not enough angry Scottish accents, but I guess we don't have any dwarves or whatever the fantasy version of angry Scottish is, which I think is dwarves, isn't
it? Probably.
Right. We're done. We're set up. We know where we're at, I think. But what we'd really like, I know Ewan really want it. He always says it. We'd really love a recap.
Oh. Well, let's do one of those then. Our travellers find themselves on the beautiful planet of Giikur, home to Earth Park, the mighty Giikur Geeks
Cut the
buckyball team,
geeks.
and the upcoming Pelago Ocean Race. So far, it's all been going brilliantly. They took the opportunity to take in a bar, buy some supplies, and then visit the most famous nightclub on the planet, where they partied with a couple of the Pelago teams. And that is where we resume. Just kidding. At the Cascade, during the busiest part of the evening, Stefan stabbed Anton Fess in the throat. He fled into the lake and was rescued by some of his friends. Meanwhile, Soraya had arranged for a bit of a distraction by making smoke in a crowded nightclub. Now, that's what we know actually happened in a matter of a few fraught minutes. Unfortunately, there's another way of looking at it. Before heading to the Cascade, Soraya showed a picture of Fess to the front desk at the hotel, asking them to keep a lookout for him. At the Cascade, Stefan offered to buy the Maglo team a round of drinks, something that he justified on the basis of clumsily throwing a drink over the team manager. Later, as a round of drinks were arriving, Soraya caused a distraction, which drew Fess's attention, and as she left the club, she dropped a smoke bomb while Stefan stabbed Fess.
That's perfectly innocent. What's wrong with you?
The news is now reporting that the Maglo team seems to have been poisoned, possibly by the drinks they were sent. Drinks that it seems Stefan must have ordered. Stefan and Soraya are now hiding out in a small and basic hotel room, while the rest of the gang are deciding what, if anything, they can do to help. Kat has returned to the hotel after flying the fugitives to safety, and before bed, Zoe spent a while lurking near the hotel just in case there was anything out there to see. And that is where we resume the story. So, it is early the following morning. And I don't know if you've sort of set alarms for insanely early. But if you haven't, we'll roll the clock forward to about 6 a.m.
Even 6 a.m. is quite unlike two of my characters, to be honest. Especially Cara. There's only one 6 o'clock in her day, that's for sure.
Yeah, Agnar wouldn't. I suppose the only thing on Stefan's mind would it be better to pop out ridiculously early to try and get some... We've got supplies in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to leave the
Yeah,
room when
well-
it's being cleaned, don't we? But we've got enough supplies for a
Yeah.
few days.
But then he wouldn't mind. Here we are. He certainly won't set an early alarm.
Okay. I'm back at the coronet. Any really early risers?
No, the last thing Cara did before bed, which was late, wasn't it? Was checking the routes, wasn't she? And then messaged Kat to check those two out, and then she went to bed. She wouldn't be expecting to get up for a couple of hours. Yeah, at least probably a few hours as it goes. And she's in with Rose, who strikes me as not an early riser if she doesn't need to be.
Not unless required, no.
Agnar is usually reasonably early up, but I wouldn't say before 6 o'clock early.
Okay. Who is Agnar bunking with?
Well, this is a very good question. Agnar was in with
Zoe.
But I kind of like to think that maybe last night he realised there was a free room going because Soraya and Stefan aren't using theirs.
Oh, he's sneaking into the management room, is he? Oh, what a surprise.
So maybe he thinks that it'll give Zoe a night off of his horrific snoring, which, you know, Varga snoring is a problem.
Okay. So he
If
may
that's
be in
doable.
the empty room. Yes, that's fine. Okay. At about 6 o'clock in the morning, there is a knocking on the door of one of the suite. It's the suite that Agnar was expecting to share with Zoe. Only the most alert would hear it, because none of you are in that room. And a matter of a few moments later, there is a knocking on the door of Kara's room.
It takes a few. Kara, of course, is dreaming of all sorts of things, and sort of the knocking breaks into her dreams. Strange dream. It was this very strange dream of her being chased by a giant megalodon. She'd seen it happen, and she sort of it's been in her mind a little bit, and for some reason in her dream, suddenly the megalodon stops and rears up behind her, and its fins become fists, and it knocks on top of her head, like in Back to the Future, you know. Fly. I should what? And that's enough to trigger her out of it. A bleary-eyed, dark room. Takes a moment thinking, what on earth is going on? Looks at the amount of cheesy balls and realizes she's really got to cut down on those before sleeping. And then here's the knock again. So she quietly heads over to like the pile of her stuff and grabs her. Let's pick what we're gonna pick. She grabs her stunner.
Mm-hmm.
And she eases her way towards the door, and quietly whispers, "Who is it?"
Police.
Oh, really? Can you come back at like 9 o'clock? I haven't finished my sleep yet. I was having a wonderful dream.
It's urgent.
Oh, God. Okay, hang on. In the suite, the idea is there's like a small living area, isn't there, with the beds off that? Is that correct?
Yep. And then a kind of balcony overlooking the lake.
Yep. She's like, let me throw some clothes on, all right?
Hurry.
She just throws sort of daywear stuff on, pretty casual stuff. Quite covering. It's the police. She's not trying to flooze anyone. And then she pours herself a glass of water, and then she double checks to make sure there's nothing incriminating, which I don't think there is. Before they come in, she is going to quickly take the laptop and sort of rush into Rose's room, lift up Rose's mattress, and while she sleeps, and sort of shove the laptop under there.
Rose is awake. She's sitting on the edge of the bed.
Okay. She's like, it's the police, Rose. I'm just going to shove this under here, all right? I'm sure it's nothing, but if I make a big noise about anything like that, just chuck it out the window or something. I don't know. Just Just hide it better if you can. No problem if you can't, but
Okay.
it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then she comes back through, and is there peepholes?
Yes, there's a small observation camera.
And is it who they say they are?
There is a fairly stocky, muscular-looking woman standing outside the door.
Can you show your credentials to the camera, please?
The woman reaches into her pocket and pulls out a police ID card, or something that looks very plausibly like a police ID card, and holds it up in front of the camera.
Well, what's her name? Can I see the name?
Yes, you probably can, actually.
Yeah.
Brina Locke.
How are we spelling that?
Brina
Yep.
Lok.
L-O-K. Okay. Okay, Brina, if I may call you Brina. Don't you don't know John?
John. Solid work.
Yeah, yeah, you come in. And she sort of opens the door to her.
Okay. You open up the door. Locke is standing there in the corridor. She nods. She says, "Can I see some ID?"
I don't think you can. I've not got any on me. I need to go and get it.
And you are?
My name is Kara Laska. That's Laska.
Locke glances down at her tablet and sort of checks off something, and then holds it up as if she's comparing an image she's got to you.
Kara does a bit of a cheesy grin with peace signs. How out of date?
Okay.
Can I see the picture? Is it a bit out of date, or is it?
You're looking at the back of the device, basically.
That's probably taken on a bad day, but you know, don't judge me. I've only had a few hours sleep.
I promise not to judge you for that.
I don't like the sound of that. That's that. Wasn't a very nice that. Do you want a cup of tea or coffee or something? I was just going to make myself a drink.
No, thank you. I need a few moments of your time.
Okay, can I make myself a hot drink? You can sit down. She sort of motions to one of the sort of the sofa in there. Right, so I'm not used to waking up at this time of the day, so if you don't mind, I'll be more used to you if I can chug down some caffeine as we chat.
By all means. Are you alone in this suite?
I'm not alone in this suite. I have a friend, a companion, and a buddy. They're all one person. That's not three other people. Her name is Rose. I don't know her surname. It's just Rose.
Okay. You know this woman well?
I know her well enough.
But not well enough to know her full name.
Well, you see, things are funny. I've only known you for 30 seconds, and I know that your name's Brina Locke, and I know nothing about you, so knowing someone's name is not a measure of how you know someone.
Well, allow me to help you out there. My name is Investigator Brina Locke. I am the senior investigator for the incident that happened at the Cascade nightclub.
Oh, okay. Well, my name's Kara Laska. I'm an artist, and I have nightly dreams of a giant megalodon chasing me. A pleasure to make your acquaintance. Now, please grab a seat while I grab myself some caffeine.
Okay. She doesn't sit, but she does go and stand near where you're making the drink.
Kara finishes her making the drink, and she starts slurping it down. And as she walks towards, she's going to crash full force into the back of a sofa or a chair or something between her and Officer Investigator Locke, because she's sort of drinking and she's not paying attention. And as she clonks in, of course, sadly, some of the liquid might spray in the investigator's direction. Not on purpose, of course. It just it's just the
Of
side
course, not
effect
on
of
purpose.
it's just the side effect of crashing into something.
Yeah.
Kara's going 100% at crashing into it. She doesn't mind it's going to hurt. So she's not.
Can you
It's barely
roll
faking.
a dexterity, please, with athletics dex?
I'd have thought the worse the better. 9. That's a 9 with, but no bonus at all.
Okay. You splash some of it in the direction of the investigator, but none of it reaches her.
Oh, I hope I didn't get any of that over you, Investigator. I'm so sorry. Clumsy.
It's all right. Why don't you have a seat before you hurt yourself?
Oh, it's a bit late for that, but I'll grab a seat. And Kara jumps up onto the sofa and sort of sits cross-legged upon the sofa. So,
Don't move from there.
well, I wasn't planning to. I'm quite comfy, it must be said.
Locke walks over to Kara's room and pushes the door open and glances around inside, and then walks over to Rose's room, pushes that door open, and says, "Out." And a couple of seconds later, Rose shuffles out, not exactly fully dressed, still looking a bit dishevelled from sleep.
Hey, Rose, how's your sleep?
Interrupted, thanks.
Oh, no, man. You weren't having that same dream again, were you?
No,
That's
no,
good.
just the early wake-up call.
Oh, man. It's so good. I told her to come back at 9 o'clock, but she wasn't having any of it. I feel like we'd have been a lot more use at 9, Rose. What do you think?
Historically, I've done my best work in the afternoons and evenings.
Well, that is that is what I've heard.
The investigator sort of points towards the sofa beside Kara, and Rose nods and plumps herself down into it. I'm Investigator Brina Locke, and I am looking into the incident last night at the Cascade. You may know this, you may not know this, but I'm going to give you some basic background information as to why I'm here and why I'm speaking to you today. We have 2 suspects currently. We believe them to be responsible for a number of very serious crimes. And they are members of your group, traveling together, checking into this hotel together. You arrived at the nightclub together. Now, while camera evidence suggests you weren't there at the time of the incident, nonetheless, you are our very best lead for finding 2 fugitives. I suppose I don't need to tell you who those fugitives are.
One of your colleagues told myself and a friend of mine last night while we were enjoying a late night drink here, well, downstairs,
Excellent.
not in the room. So, you say they're guilty of these things. The only thing that Stefan Miller is guilty of is a very bad fashion sense and dodgy athletics prowess.
Those are certainly among the charges that we're going to be bringing.
I'd say the most heinous, especially the. Have you seen his ski suit at all? I don't know if you've got any pictures of that in your intelligence. Terrible.
But if you look just a little bit further down the charge sheet,
okay, to the letter
underneath
things,
the
yeah.
terrible fashion sense, you will find attempted murder and attempted mass murder.
That doesn't sound at all like Stefan, it must be said. at all.
We have a very large number of witnesses who saw Mr. Miller stab somebody in the throat.
You may have. I wasn't there personally. I didn't see it, and I haven't spoken to Mr. Miller since a chunk of time before that. So I wouldn't be able to tell you yes or no on that, and that's honest. Bang me in a truth extractor or something.
We don't torture people for information. We find they volunteer most of what we need without such measures.
Exactly, and that's how I am. I hope I'm being helpful. Am I being helpful so far?
Not so far,
Oh,
but you will be.
oh, I'm sure I will. I'm a very helpful person.
She turns to Rose and she says, Rose, on your documents, you don't seem to have a last name. Rose says, that's right, I don't. That's unusual for a human. I'm an unusual human. And she then asks her basically the same questions, and Rose indicates that she actually left the Cascade as part of a group before everything went down. And there's a certain amount of sort of note taking on the tablet as this goes. So eventually the investigator turns her attention back to Kara. She says, do you have any prior experience with Anton Fess?
We do have prior experience with Anton Fess. We've got a long and storied history with Anton Fess. Where would you like me to begin? At the beginning?
It's as good a place as any.
It is a very good place to start. We met him for the first time aboard an orbiting station around Brightsea. That was the water one. That's where we got Rose, wasn't it? That's Brightsea. Ben, out of character. Yeah. Oh, I'm so good. Around Brightsea, where we were. I'm sure you know this by now by looking into things, but we sort of travel aboard a ship called the Baltic Star, subsidized liner, and at the time we were having to keep it running by hopping from system to system, transporting a few people here and there. The records would all be available. That's your knowledge if you need it. And one of our stops was to go to Brightsea to pick up a few people to take on to Giikur. Yes, where they then moved on to somewhere else. So while we were there, we had to get there, and we had a couple of days of sort of brief. We had to send the Baltic Star off to refuel. We sort of had a few days to chill out there. I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's sort of it's pretty much your standard, Nova, place to stay, the entertainment, the motel and that and stayed. There we met Anton Fess, who approached us to make use of one of our geologists, Sammy Kress. I'm sure she's on your list, and wanted her to help him with his work. Just checking out some rocks, very standard rocks that Sammy said were really basic, boring rocks. No, I have no idea what they are. Who knows, right? But Anton showed a big interest in rocks and has done all the time since. That's always been his big thing since been talking to him. And it was at that time he started getting really creepy towards Sammy, like really pushy, unpleasant. I don't know if this fits with your knowledge of the man, but to the point where we had to beat a quick retreat because of sort of threatening behaviour, not necessarily violent, but increasingly unpleasant. I'm a one of my minors at university was philosophy, in fact, so I'm quite a good read of people at times, and there was just definitely something wrong about the situation, and we scarpered, and we thought no more of it. He just, when someone puts heckles up your back, officer, very much that.
I know that feeling very well.
Yes, and I'd imagine you need it in your job. It's probably kept you alive, I would say, taking you to the right sort of check out the right things. But anyway, we sort of went with that for a while, which was very pleasant. Nice time when Fess isn't around you. We found out that he's a Zodani, I believe. I don't. You must know that.
So I believe I haven't had the opportunity to interview Mr. Fess.
No, so he was apparently psionic. I'm sure the most Zodanis are, I've heard. And I don't know, some hotshot in the agent or something. We looked him up and found some bits about him. I'm an IT nerd as well. I'm more, especially back on Baltic Star, you know. So we realised that he was a very unpleasant sort of character. And we ran into him again here a few weeks ago. We were here. And he bugged us. I have no understanding why he would. He bugged me. And started following us around the planet, popping up in places we weren't expecting. We had private business. We got a lot of fish. We bought a lot of fish to pass on to other planets that are less well off in food stuff as here. So doing our bit, you know, make a little bit of money, but do our bit. And he suddenly appeared there and interrupted our meal, and he just threatening behaviour and so on. And in fact, we managed to get away, but we came back and he found us again last night. Now, we heard that he was around because I believe it was Soraya, one of the two, saw that his picture in a team photo for one of the teams. I have no idea. I don't know Pelago racing. It could be a green team, could be a yellow team, but whatever team. And immediately that freaked us out. And so back here, I believe she told the Tim on the desk. That's what we call the workers. It's very fun. It's very clever. Very clever. Not at all demeaning. Told him just to keep an eye out because we're nervous about him because he does tend to turn up and sort of follow us around places. I don't know why. And so when we got to the Cascade and we ran into him, that was quite a scary moment. I had a chat with him. I was freaking out, but I wanted to, I don't know, as best as possible, ease things a little bit, get an idea, find out a bit about what he was doing. You know, and they say like, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies even closer, right?
I've heard the expression.
But during our talk, towards the end of it, he said something really creepy, and he sort of said to me, he sort of stopped where we're talking, and he's like, in this sort of really passive aggressive way, he says something like, it's such a shame we're here because he really likes us. Almost like a threat, like a really creepy threat. And then immediately got up and got on his phone to someone. And we were worried, of course, that he was going to send people back to the hotel because people had, by then, Rose had gone back. Because, understandably, Sammy don't want to be anywhere near the guy because he creeped her out for like 3 days straight. And she still doesn't like being anywhere near him. And so that was the big freak out. And at that point, I had nothing more to do with him, really. He was getting up and there was drinks being done and goodness knows what was going on. And that was it. And the next thing I know, I'm part of the great masses being rushed out of the place.
Okay. Mr. Fess obviously is not a native of Giikur.
No.
While I'm sure he may know many people here, especially since he signed up with the VCI team.
VCI, that's it.
Relatively few of the people on this planet will know him or have any experience of him, I'm sure.
Well, what I did know.
It is your evidence, as I understand it, that you were among the relatively few who knew who he was, and you had a motive to do him harm.
You can watch any footage of me and know that I did not do any harm to him. Why would I? The guy creeped me out. He was talking a lot about his. He was really caught up in the Pelago race, and about the routes, and about how he was hired to do a job, and that it was important that they won, and they're very proud about the boats or whatever they are that they're using, and seemed to be very dismissive of a team that was across from us. And he went from, he's always creepy to talk to, but he just went to very professional and then very unpleasant very quickly. It's done, like, to be honest with you, if the place was right and he came at me, then I'd do everything I could to defend myself. Sure, anyone would, you'd think.
He did not, in fact, attack you, though.
No, and I didn't attack him either, did I? We went a different way, checked the cameras, and to be honest, if I don't see him again in my life, I'll be very pleased. I don't wish the man death. I'd be very pleased to be many systems away from him by the time he wakes up.
It's
He is
you
going to
don't need
wake
to
up.
worry about me accusing you of murder.
Mm.
We're pretty confident we know who committed the assault.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm trying to establish here is whether or not you are implicated as part of a broader plot to identify him, contain him, trap him, and set him up for an assault, and whether or not you were party to any activity afterwards that would lead to the escape of the fugitives. However, there is something you said that does perhaps weigh in your favour. We do have laws on Giikur against being creepy.
Good. I thought so.
No, I'm joking, obviously.
Well, you should put it in. Life would be a lot better without creeps around. Do you have the power to do that, officer, to put those rules in?
No, I merely enforce laws. I don't write them.
I know creepiness.
Creepiness
is not it's not allowed. Doesn't allow you to kill someone or anything. But I just sort of like put it across how he made me feel. I guess really.
She turns back to Rose and sort of says, "Do you have anything to add?" And Rose shakes her head. And she then says, "Right. For the immediate future, you two are not allowed to leave Giikur."
That's all right. I quite like the place, to be honest. It's a few too many creeps, but I don't mind being here.
It's very important that you don't leave until the investigation is concluded and you're cleared of any wrongdoing. Do you understand?
Yeah, I'll be cleared of it. So I look forward to another holiday here. Before you go, though, officer, just one more thing. I'm sure on that list you've got my my good friend and colleague Agnar Arnson, General brackets Ret. I hope you know who he is. He'll ask you otherwise. I'm sure you'll know that he tried to save Fess's life and probably did save Fess's life last night. And so I think that if there was a big conspiracy within our group to go out of our way to kill this man and murder other people, then Agnar wouldn't have done that, right? That big, floofy, Hippocratic idiot.
At this stage, we don't fully understand the motivations of the people we're pursuing. I wouldn't wish to prejudge the issue. I'm still gathering evidence, conducting interviews. We'll decide what, if anything, you'll be charged with at a later date.
Oh, hopefully nothing, because I ain't done nothing.
Tragically, while there is no crime for being creepy, there is also no crime for faintly irritating officers of the law.
Ah, that's why I'm doing it. I know it's the most I can get away with. I'm a law-abiding citizen, officer.
We'll be going door to door in this group of suites for probably the next half hour or so. Please remain in your room. Let's say until 8 o'clock.
Oh, can we make it 9 o'clock?
In case I want to come back and ask further questions.
Okay. If you need a reference or anything, write this down in case you need like a character reference. You can always check up with Intelligence Officer Pramus of the Imperial Navy. She'll vouch for me.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Do a lot of work for the Navy, do you?
Wow. I don't go many submarines, if that's what you mean. But we've had a chat here and there.
Okay.
She's a nice lady. I think when you get to know her, anyway. A bit icy to start with.
I'll make a note.
Thank
And
you.
she does so. She then walks to the door and she says, "Please remain here until 8 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
After 8 o'clock, you can stay here as long as you like, but up until 8 o'clock, please remain here."
Yep, that won't be a hardship.
And she walks out into the corridor, closing the door behind her.
Duh. Duh. How you feeling, Rose?
Fine, I guess.
Before she says anything else, Cara's going to grab her bug device thing and scan the room quickly, please.
Okay.
You can't trust investigators.
Electronics communications.
Yep.
Plus your intellect +1.
13.
Okay. There is nothing that you're not expecting to find. Little pickups from your personal communication device and that kind of thing, but nothing unexpected.
Okay. She sort of leads Rose back into sort of Rose's room. Look, to be honest, you're out there before anything. You've got no problems. You just be as truthful as you want to be, because honestly, your truth is the truth. Let's face it. So you don't need to feel anything. The cameras show after you left that Stefan stabbed Anton Fess in the throat in front of about 100 people, apparently.
It doesn't feel ideal, but we're a team, right?
Yeah, he was, and that's why Stefan did it. He was chasing after Soraya because Soraya had sort of seen him messing with like a data chip from the other team. She might have read the situation wrong, but she called him out on it. And then, quite honestly, it looked to me, and I'm sure it looked to Soraya, that he was going to really get his revenge. So she legged it. Stefan went after her, and yeah, apparently, Stefan stabbed him through the throat. And I don't blame him. And I'd have probably done the same. I'd imagine pretty much any of us would have done the same if someone was chasing down one of our crew like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's where
I'm
that
sure
is.
you're right.
But Soraya ain't done anything, and anything they talk about poisoning is nothing to do with us. It's a total stitch up on some regard. It's got to be Fess. He was the one that made a call. He was the one that was like well shifty towards the other team. He just feels opportunist, you know. The guy's an opportunist. You know what he's like.
Yeah. I understand. She walks over to the sort of entertainment system and turns on the video and starts catching up with the local news, which covers a number of topic areas, but keeps going back to the incident in the Cascade last night. There are a fair few witnesses who were there at the time being interviewed and giving pretty gruesome descriptions of the actual stabbing. A couple of other people speak briefly about the Maglo team and their reaction to being seemingly poisoned, but they, so it seems, did not have an instant reaction. A couple of them, they were perhaps in the nightclub, but they didn't become seriously unwell until a little while later. And those that looked a bit queasy and were sort of saying, "Oh, I don't feel great," the assumption was they were a little bit high on adrenaline and panicked because of the violence that had just happened in the club.
Yeah.
There were one or two people who were not poisoned, in fact, who had started shaking and even throwing up because of their fears. So it wasn't particularly shocking that a couple of them would feel unwell. The news is short on actual details, but it does include mugshots of both Stefan and Soraya.
Now, Rose, as you can see, Stefan is guilty of stabbing a guy, and he is guilty of it. The only other problem that might implicate us is that we're trying to look to get to that island, right? And to do that, we need to get onto a boat. So we really, really, really must not get on that Maglo boat because I think we've killed them to sort of take their place or something. So, so the one thing I'll ask is that we'll keep it on the down low about that sort of thing for now, because we've got to work a way to softly trick around this. We need to go see some carvings. We know we all love carvings.
Hey, it's good. Okay, so we will now cut briefly to what else is happening in the corridor. There are a couple of people knocking on doors at various points. Eventually, there is a knock on the door where Agnar was staying.
Yes, come in. Enter.
The door opens, and standing there is the same investigator. They're obviously new to you. She glances down at her tablet and says, "And you are?"
I'm sorry. Who are you?
My name's Investigator Locke.
I'm Agnar Arnson.
Excellent. She sort of holds the tablet up again, sort of compare you with it. Right. You were at the Cascade last night.
Himself a bit. I'm sorry. Can we backtrack? What's this about?
It's about a number of attempted murders that took place at the Cascade nightclub last night.
Yes, I see. I mean, my memory's a little bit hazy, but there weren't particularly too many Vargas that stick in my head. Did you need to ask who I was?
I need to get a positive identification, yes.
I understand. Sorry, please do go on. What was your question?
I would like to know what happened last night at the Cascade.
Yeah, yes. I think there's lots of people that would like to know, including me. I arrived. We had some drinks. I saved a man's life. I don't know whether there's not any points to the TV. They're not mentioning much of that. I am to accolades. Perhaps you could have a. No, that's probably not your place. I there was a massive rush. I was sat out back having a drink with my friend when the panic ensued and people started to flee. We were worried about our friends. We headed back into the club, and after most of the people had exited, obviously, I'm not going to fight against the oncoming tide of people. and found the injured party, whom I treated. I daren't say save his life, but I spoke to a couple of the medics on site, and I saved his life.
Hmm. I'm sure Mr. Fess is going to be very grateful to you when he's able to offer his thanks. Now, explain something to me. You were already familiar with Mr. Fess when you started treating him. You knew him.
Yes, we've met on a few occasions, I believe. My memory's not great.
Had you met on Giikur before?
Yes, in fact, the last time we were on Giikur, I believe we met Mr. Fess, although, well, yeah, we met. Oh, well, I'll be honest. He came across a little shady, shall we say?
I know what the word means. I'm wondering if you could be a little more specific.
Well, I was. When we last met him on Geeker, that was not the first time we'd met him. I forget where it was, but we met him before. And we met him, I believe, at the Commodore. Are you familiar with the Commodore?
I know of the Commodore.
Yes, I believe he introduced us last time we were on. Geeker, and it seemed his behaviour comes across often as very calculating. He's not a man who